The FBI has released new details on the Minnesota school shooting as a memorial continues to grow outside the Annunciation Catholic School. 2 children, an 8- and a 10-year-old, were murdered in the tragedy, and in total, 15 children were injured, with at least 9 still in the hospital and 1 that remains in critical condition. The parents of these victims continue to look for some form of answers, but police say one close family member to the shooter is leaving everyone in the dark. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, and also joining us today, Molly Line, Fox News correspondent, Tomi Lahren, Fox News contributor and host of Tomi Lahren is Fearless on Outkick and FoxNews.com. And joining us on the couch for the very first time is Tiffany Smiley, founder of the Endeavor PAC and former U.S. Senate candidate, and Guy Benson, Fox News contributor and the host of The Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio. Now, Minneapolis police say the shooter was obsessed with killing children and carried out the massacre to gain notoriety. Police say he fired 116 rounds with a rifle and 3 with a shotgun. Fox News confirms the shooter's mother, who previously worked at the school where the shooter attacked, has hired a criminal defense attorney. Now, police say they have not been able to interview her. Watch.
We do know that the shooter did attend Mass there previously. The shooter did attend school, and the shooter's mother was an employee of the parish previously for some time. So obviously there is a connection between that shooter and this particular parish. I know we have not been successful in talking to the shooter's mother yet at this time, but there continue to be efforts made to get that done.
The mother's attorney gave Fox News Digital this statement, quote, "She is completely distraught about the situation and has no culpability, but is seeking an attorney to deal with calls like this." And now FBI Director Kash Patel says investigators have collected enough evidence that points directly to an act of domestic terrorism motivated by a hate-filled ideology. An absolutely tragic situation, Tiffany. As we learn more, it appears we won't be learning more from the mother of the shooter.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, this senseless act of violence is absolutely gut-wrenching. It just hits you hard. I'm a mom of 3 boys who just started Catholic school, and my whole heart and prayers goes out to the whole community, to the parents, to the kids, to the teachers, and even to the shooter's mom. I can't imagine the weight of the world that is on her shoulders, the responsibility. I don't think any of us can fathom what perhaps she is feeling in this moment. While I would like to see her cooperating with law enforcement, I would like to see her put out a statement to her lawyer, I think it's going to take time. And I just can't imagine the place that she is in. But as we go along, she's going to have to communicate and work with law enforcement to get to the bottom of this. And I would hope that she could put something out sooner than later, just for everyone in the community.
Yeah, your compassion is so generous. And we should, again, remind viewers, she was part of the community, too, the Annunciation community.
Yeah, so you think about this as a parent, and you've lost your kid, which is unimaginable and horrendous. And then with that, compounding the grief and the confusion and perhaps the anger is the fact that your kid also murdered other kids in the process of this horrific atrocity. So there is some sense of empathy that I feel. That being said, if there were signs that were missed, I'm sure she's probably thinking about this all the time. If she should have known something or did know something, we need to know that. And I do think it's important for her to cooperate with law enforcement. She doesn't have to talk to us in the media. I understand that. But law enforcement she should cooperate with, because if she's distraught, which I'm sure she is, I think she owes this to herself and especially to the families of the victims of her son to help law enforcement to the greatest extent possible. And if she's not doing that, especially a few days from now, I think that's a problem.
And Molly, perhaps is there some type of fear of legal retribution that is obfuscating her willingness to cooperate so that everyone in our collective grief over this can, yes, learn something to prevent it from ever happening again. There
have been a number of parents in the course of these similar tragedies, mass shootings, that have been prosecuted in the wake of them. There was most notably the Crumbleys, Jennifer and James Crumbly. They were the first parents to be prosecuted. Their son was a minor when he committed his acts, killing 4 students. That was at the Oxford High School. But there have also been parents who've been charged after their sons, in these cases, committed mass killings, that when they were adults. There were several examples. The father of the Nashville Waffle House shooter, that individual that committed the shooting was 29 years old at the time of the shooting at the Waffle House. The father of a man who killed 7 people that happened at a 4th of July parade in 2022 in Illinois, the Highland Park shooting. That shooter at the time of the shooting was an adult as well. In the case of that particular father, he signed his son's application for an Illinois firearms identification card 3 years before the massacre. He was ultimately pleading guilty to 7 counts of misdemeanor reckless conduct. So parents have faced culpability when similar actions have occurred. And perhaps she might be thinking a little bit about this. But if you have a lawyer, you could also use that lawyer perhaps to express some empathy for the victims.
Right. And it's surprising, frankly, just as a bystander here, Tommy, that there haven't been communication directly with law enforcement, considering that on the day of that tragedy, within minutes after that person was identified, then she would have been brought in to Guy's Point too. It was part of the right. Yeah.
This feels odd. Yeah. And it's hard not to feel like it's odd to not even have an interview. I understand getting yourself an attorney because you want to protect yourself, to your point, and I think that that's understandable. What's not is not cooperating, especially with law enforcement. To your point, Guy, she doesn't necessarily owe us, the public, anything, but you owe law enforcement something and you owe these families something. I can't help but think, going back to the Gabby Petito case and Brian Laundrie's family, I can't help but think that when they were not cooperating with police, but they immediately got a criminal defense attorney and they said, you can talk to him, we're not saying anything, we're not going to talk about it. This feels to me eerily similar. I'm not saying that she has any culpability. I'm sure she doesn't. She was living in another state. However, if you do feel like you need a defense attorney, you still need to cooperate with police. You owe the community that much. And by her not doing that, I think a lot of the empathy that all of you feel for her, that's going to dissipate in the public eye pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's such a good point, the public perception versus legal culpability, and the reality that I think that the public understands, you know, there's a level of support that one has for their children that is not to be confused with the culpability of their nefarious intentions. And it seems like there hasn't been a judgmental approach to this horrific situation that we know of at this point.
Right. Well, and you got to think, as a mother, you take that responsibility on. And I'm sure she is feeling that. But like I said, and to your point, Tommy, she should put out a statement through her lawyer to the community, to the victims, and show that she is sympathetic and that she cares. I think that would go a long way.
Yeah. Guy, final thoughts?
Well, I think in some respects she sort of did in that lawyer statement where she said she's distraught, okay,
yes,
and that bears no culpability. That's an assertion of innocence. I'm more open to that assertion if I know that she's cooperating with law enforcement versus not, personally.
Right.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.